Principle 5. The power of imagination. If there is one invisible line separating the poor from the wealthy, it is not money and it is not education. It is imagination. Poor people live inside what they can see. Wealthy people live inside what they can imagine before it ever exists. Every great fortune in this world was once nothing more than a vague idea inside the mind of someone bold enough to believe in it. Imagination is not daydreaming. It is the factory where wealth is designed. It is the place where every plan, every structure, every financial empire is conceived long before it enters the physical world. When someone says they have no money, that may be true on the surface. What they truly lack is the ability to see money where others see nothing. Most people are taught to be realistic, but that very realism becomes the prison that keeps them poor. Reality is built on the past. Imagination creates the future. Those who live only by what is real will repeat what has already happened. Those who master imagination step into territory that has never existed before. There are two forms of imagination, though few people understand the difference. One is synthetic imagination. The other is creative imagination. Synthetic imagination is the ability to combine existing ideas into new forms. It does not invent something entirely new, it rearranges what already exists into a different structure. Most successful businesses were built this way. No one invented coffee, but someone turned coffee into a global empire. No one invented the phone, but someone turned it into the center of modern life. Creative imagination is rarer. It is the ability to see what has never existed at all. This is the domain of pioneers. But whether imagination is synthetic or creative, the common thread is this. It begins in a mind that refuses to accept present limitations. When poor people face a problem, they ask, "I have no money, what can I do?" Wealthy people ask, "If I want money, what value can I create?" One question closes every door, the other opens endless paths. Imagination is activated not by answers, but by the right questions. Imagination cannot function in a mind dominated by fear. Fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of standing apart from the crowd. That is why imagination and courage always walk together. To imagine is to step outside the pattern, and anyone who steps outside the pattern will be doubted until they succeed. This world was not built by followers. It was built by those who saw a different version of reality and refused to let go until it became real. When you look at any great fortune, understand that you are looking at an idea that was nurtured long enough, strong enough, and with enough discipline to take physical form. Imagination does not work in vagueness. It requires clarity. When a person knows exactly what they want, imagination begins operating like an automatic system. It constantly searches for people, paths, information, and opportunities that match the image fixed in the mind. A person who does not know what they want will never activate this power. One of the greatest lies ever taught is that imagination belongs only to artists, writers, or creatives. That lie has kept millions trapped. Imagination is the most powerful financial tool a person can possess. It determines whether you see risk or opportunity, limits or possibility, scarcity or potential. An employee imagines wages, an owner imagines value. A poor person imagines expenses, a wealthy person imagines cash flow. The same reality, but two entirely different worlds created in the mind. Imagination must be trained like a muscle. If you do not use it, it weakens. If you constantly allow negative news, complaints, and collective fear to occupy your mind, you are allowing others to control your imagination. And when someone controls your imagination, they control your future. Wealthy people are extremely disciplined about protecting their minds. They choose carefully what enters their awareness. They understand that repeated images become beliefs, repeated beliefs become actions, repeated actions become results. Imagination is the starting point of this entire chain. Once you clearly imagine who you want to become, how you want to live, and what you want to own, you begin to notice things that were previously invisible. Opportunities do not suddenly increase, you simply become able to see them. Your mind has been programmed to search for them. Most people fail not because they lack intelligence, but because they never allow themselves to imagine big. They censor their thoughts before ideas have time to grow. They call it being realistic, but in truth, it is fear disguised as logic. Imagination does not pay you immediately. It demands patience. An idea today may produce nothing, but if you continue to feed it, refine it, and combine it with knowledge and action, it will begin to generate returns. Every fortune has an invisible phase before it becomes visible. Those who do not understand this quit too early. Those who do continue when no one believes in them. And when results finally appear, the world calls them lucky. In reality, they simply saw what others could not. Imagination does not replace action, but without imagination, action is blind. You can work hard your entire life and still never build wealth if you follow only worn paths. Imagination reveals new paths. Action is what allows you to walk them. When you truly understand this principle, you stop asking how to make money fast. You begin asking how to build an image so powerful in your mind that reality has no choice but to follow. The wealthy do not chase money, they chase vision. Money is only the byproduct. At this stage, what matters most is not how much capital you have, how many connections you possess, or how much experience you hold. What matters most is how far you allow your mind to see. You will never cross a boundary your imagination has never touched. This is the foundation of all wealth. Before strategy, before planning, before action, there must be a clear image in the mind. Whoever controls that image controls their destiny. When an image has been engraved in the mind long enough, it begins to influence every decision you make, even the ones you believe are random. What you choose to read, who you listen to, who you spend time with, and which environments you enter are all guided by that invisible picture. This is not magic. It is the natural mechanism of the brain once it has a clear destination. Those without a clear image live by inertia. They react to circumstances instead of creating them. They go to work because it is time to go to work. They spend money because everyone else does. They choose safety because they fear being left behind. In that state, imagination is paralyzed and life becomes a dull repetition. Those who clearly see who they want to become live differently. They do not need daily motivation. The image itself creates momentum. When they are tired, they do not ask why they should continue. They ask whether they are moving closer to or further from the picture they have chosen. Imagination becomes a compass, not a fantasy. A dangerous mistake is believing that imagination alone is enough. Imagination is not meant to replace discipline. It exists to direct discipline. Those who imagine without action become dreamers. Those who act without imagination become blind laborers. Wealth is built by those who combine both, but the image always comes first. The clearer the imagination, the more precise the action. You stop doing everything. You only do what aligns with the vision. This is where most people fail. They scatter their energy because they do not know what they are building. Those with strong imagination are selective. They say no to many good opportunities to focus on one correct opportunity. When an idea begins to take shape, the most difficult phase is not lack of resources, it is isolation. At this stage, your imagination is far ahead of reality. Others cannot see what you see. They judge based on the present, while you act based on the future. That gap creates immense psychological pressure, and only those who truly believe in their image can endure it. This is the stage where many betray their own imagination. They shrink their vision to fit the advice of the majority. They call it maturity, but in truth, it is compromise. Each compromise slightly fades the image until it no longer has the power to guide action. Wealthy individuals understand that imagination must be protected in silence. They do not speak openly about their vision, not because they fear it being stolen, but because they know most external voices only distort the internal picture. They carefully choose who is allowed to hear it and which advice is allowed into their mind. When you are constantly surrounded by people without vision, your imagination is pulled down to the average. When you are near those who think big, your internal image naturally expands.
Environment does not only shape behavior, it directly shapes imagination. This is why those serious about wealth deliberately choose their environment, even at a cost. Imagination also determines how you interpret failure. For those without vision, failure is the end. For those with strong imagination, failure is data. It does not destroy the final image, it simply forces a course correction. When the image is large enough, a few setbacks are not enough to stop progress. There is a paradox. The greater the imagination, the calmer the mind. Small vision panics over short-term fluctuations. Large vision sees everything within a long-term frame. Those with vision are not consumed by daily news because they know what they are building over years. Imagination adds depth of time to thinking. Many say they want wealth, yet the image in their mind contradicts it. They imagine safety, stability, and certainty. Wealth, however, always carries uncertainty. When the internal image conflicts with the external goal, action becomes hesitant. Imagination must match the price you are willing to pay. A powerful imagination does not only picture the result, it includes the person you must become. You do not just see yourself owning assets, you see yourself thinking differently, acting differently, and carrying greater responsibility. This is critical. If you imagine money without imagining the version of yourself capable of holding it, you will sabotage yourself when opportunity arrives. Wealthy individuals imagine systems, not single wins. They see cash flow, processes, and structure. Their imagination is strategic, not emotional. This is why they are not addicted to short-term results. They patiently build foundations because they have already seen the entire structure in their mind. When imagination is trained to this level, it begins to protect itself. You naturally avoid destructive behavior, limiting relationships, and habits that blur vision. Not out of morality, but because you do not want to damage the image you have invested so much energy into building. Eventually, imagination stops being something you consciously use. It becomes your default state. You see every problem is solvable. You see every limitation is a variable not yet understood. You no longer ask whether something is possible. You ask how and who can help you achieve it. At this stage, others begin to sense the difference, even if they cannot explain it. You project certainty, not argument, but certainty born from having already seen the path internally. This attracts trust, and trust attracts people, resources, and opportunity. When opportunity appears, those without imagination hesitate because they cannot see where it leads. Those with strong imagination recognize its place within the larger picture immediately. They decide quickly, not out of recklessness, but because they have been preparing mentally for a long time. In the end, the most important truth is this: imagination has no natural limits. The only limits are what you accept as possible. Once you expand that boundary, the entire game changes. You are no longer competing in the same space as the crowd. You are playing a different game on a different map.
Follow, subscribe, and share the channel to gain new knowledge and grow every day.